If you saw Monday Night Raw last night, then you know we have a brand new Intercontinental Champion. That's right, Braun Breaker lost the title to nobody else other than Main Event Jey Uso. After 14 long years, Jey Uso finally got his first singles run. And that led me to think, who's next?
Who's next? Hey, how about that, ladies and gentlemen?
Who's gonna get the title after Jey? Who's gonna get the title after Cody? After Gunther? After Nia Jax? And so that's where we're at today. We're gonna be going over every single WWE main roster title and picking the next two champions. We're gonna start things off hot with the man of the hour, Jey Uso, the brand new Intercontinental Champion. That's right, he beat Braun Breaker. And so now thinking about the next two champions, you know, the person who could dethrone Jey Uso, first person that comes to mind who I think makes total sense, Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Especially right now with Dominic and Liv and Rhea and Jey kind of aligning with each other. I think it makes total sense for Jey to win the title, but then drop it to Dirty Dom Mysterio. Even though he gets booed out the arena week in, week out, I think this is going to generate more heat, especially him being the one to dethrone everybody's favorite main event Jey Uso. I think it's going to be Dirty Dom Mysterio. And so that leaves the question, who will dethrone Dominic Mysterio? You know, there's a certain somebody who just held the championship who has some history with Dominic. And I know this isn't the main event scene, and he's now an established main eventer, I would say. And I think most would say as well. But I think it's going to be Damian Priest to dethrone Dominic Mysterio. And I think Damian Priest will hold the Intercontinental Championship very soon. You know, he had a fantastic 2024. You know, he started off the year as Senor Money in the Bank. And there was a lot of criticism and there was a lot of questions on whether he was going to cash in successfully, unsuccessfully, on who, you know, when, where it was going to happen, whether or not it was going to happen at all. But then WrestleMania hit. Night 2, the start of Night 2. Drew, Seth have a battle. And how does it end? With Damian Priest holding up the World Heavyweight Championship. And fast forward a couple months, he has a banger match with Gunther to end his championship reign. Everybody can say he's fully established as a main eventer now. Week in, week out, he gets one of the loudest pops, whether they're in Wichita, Kansas, or Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, or even Chicago. Wherever he's at, Damian Priest gets a loud pop. And so I think Damian Priest will hold the Intercontinental Championship right after Dirty Dom Mysterio. Sticking with the mid-card belts, we're moving over to the SmackDown side, and we got the United States Championship currently held by nobody else other than LA Knight. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. There was two championships that gave me the most trouble when trying to find out who could be the ones to hold it next. One of them was this one right here, the United States Championship. I know LA Knight just won it not too long ago off Logan Paul at SummerSlam.
Yeah! 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 Yeah!
He just defended it against Andrade. And although I like Andrade and I think Andrade is going to do great things the second time around with WWE, I don't think he's one of the next two United States champions. And maybe Carmelo, but I still don't think he's at that point right now. So then I started thinking, who else could it be? And a light bulb hit me. The Samoan Werewolf. Jacob Fatu, I believe, is the next United States champion. Who's going to dethrone him? That was an even bigger struggle for me to think about. But let's talk about Jacob real quick. You know, we've only gotten a glimpse, I believe, of what Jacob Fatu can really do. I think he's being, you know, held back, and I think it's in good cause. You don't want to show him off too early because he's got a long career ahead of him with the WWE. I think his role right now is the enforcer. You know, all you see him do is this.
I love you, Solo!
Behind Solo every time. And he gets his glimpses of greatness every now and then, especially when they throw him in a 6-man tag or a tag team match. I don't think we've gotten a Jacob Fatu one-on-one match at this point. But when we get to that point, And when he breaks away from the bloodline, we're going to be wowed away. I promise you, we're all going to be wowed. We're all going to be left speechless. Jacob Fatu is a beast. He's one of a kind. He's going to do great things. And I think truly he is the next United States champion. So who's going to dethrone Jacob? Like I said, this was a tough one to even think about. I started thinking of all the names, you know, like I mentioned already. Carmelo? Nah. Andrade? Nah. I was thinking maybe Grayson Waller? Nah. Who would it be? I don't think it's going to be Jimmy. I don't think it's going to be Jay. It's definitely not going to be Roman, not for the United States champion. So I was thinking, man, who could it really be? Is this where we get Joe Hendry? It can't be Joe Hendry. But then I started thinking, you know, who can really stand up to Jacob Fatu, the prize fighter? Kevin Owens. I think Kevin Owens is a perfect person to eventually dethrone Jacob Fatu whenever he does get a championship belt, because they have history. They stand up neck and neck to each other. You know, Kevin Owens doesn't back down from a fight from anybody. He's been involved with the bloodline now for like 3+ years now. He's probably going to take another year or two with the bloodline. So I think Kevin Owens is a perfect person to dethrone Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship. It's time for the tag team side of things, and we're going to start it off with the Women's Tag Team Championships, currently being held by Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. I think the next WWE Women's Tag Team Champions will be Pure Fusion Collective. Whether it be Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark and Sonya Deville, or Sonya and Shayna, doesn't matter the variation of members. I think Pure Fusion Collective will be the ones to end up dethroning Jade and Bianca. You know, Jade and Bianca, although they've had a semi-memorable reign, I won't say it's memorable because I do think ultimately those tag team titles are cursed, whether it be with injury or just lack of direction and lack of creative. Jade and Bianca have tried their best, but I think those two stars are bigger than the tag team division. You know, they've tried it, and I think although it was a success, I think it's time to move on for them too, because I think they have bigger aspirations and bigger things to do as singles competitors. So I think it's time to give it to the Pure Fusion Collective and let them try to, you know, build up this tag team division, because although many have tried, many have failed. And so I think the Pure Fusion Collective will be the ones to dethrone Jade and Bianca. And after Pure Fusion Collective, I think it should be Damage Control. I don't really have much of a reason though, other than I was just looking at the roster, looking at all the teams. And to be frank, Damage Control is the best. Io Sky, number one. Kairi Sane, number one. Both of them, they're the best. I don't think anybody else really can compare to them at this moment in time from an in-ring aspect. And I just love Damage Control, so I think they should be the ones to dethrone Pure Fusion Collective after they dethrone Jade and Bianca for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. The WWE World Tag Team Championships are currently being held on the Raw brand by the Judgment Day's Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Not too long ago, I just mentioned that there was 2 championship belts or 2 championship titles that were giving me a lot of trouble in figuring out who was next. And one of them was the United States Championship, and the second one is the Raw World Tag Team Championship, because to be honest, I do not know where to go from the Judgment Day. And that's simply because the tag team division right now is in shambles. It's in a bad, lowly spot that it's hard to predict what's next. And it's not in a good way, I believe, because Joe Tessitore, not on Raw last week, had just went on about how the Judgment Day had not defended the championship belts after winning them in either one, was it June or July? Whenever they won them, they had not defended them up until last week. And it's September. What is the state of the tag team division on the Raw side of things? Because on the SmackDown side of things, I can kind of see a path, maybe. But on this Raw side, I don't see nothing. And so it was really hard to fully pick out who I think could be the next set of champions. But I had to come up with teams, right? I had to come up with 2 teams. And the first one is a newly established team. Well, the team itself has been around, but the group they're a part of is newly established. They are American made. I think the Creed brothers are the next WWE World Tag Team Champions. I always want to call them the Raw Tag Team Champions because I'm so used to those red belts, but they're no longer that. They're the pizza belts now. But I think the Creed brothers of American Made end up being the next World Tag Team Champions. And who dethrones them? We saw a little vignette yesterday, and everybody online was wondering, what does it mean? You know, does it mean the Lucha brothers? Does it mean Penta and Rey Fenix? But then it was fully dissected by those investigative people on Twitter, or X, I should say. Very smart, and they figured out who it could be. You know, those were runes, Viking runes, they should say. And that should lead me to believe that the Viking Raiders are coming back. But I'm going to throw out a little prediction here. I think they do not bring back the name the Viking Raiders. I think they change their name back to the War Raiders that we know and loved in NXT. I think the War Raiders will be tag team champions, or world tag team champions, I should say, pretty soon. And so that leads me to find out who are the next two WWE tag team champions. That's right, those are the SmackDown champions, currently being held by the Bloodlines Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. The Bloodline had defeated DIY for the WWE Tag Team Champions a couple months ago, and to be honest, their reign hasn't been all that memorable. You know, they've had a few title defenses, but nothing has been all that great. I think this is just to add prestige to this new Bloodline, to give them championship belts, so that when they come out, the crowd sees them. Oh, those guys are champions. Because you couldn't do that with Solo. You weren't going to give him the world championship. So you had to give the tag team champions to these guys. And I think, for what it's worth, although it hasn't been memorable, I like it. I like it because I've always been a fan of Tama Tonga ever since his New Japan days, when he was beefing with Roman on Twitter, when he was beefing with Enzo on Twitter, when the Gorillas of Destiny were at their highest, and they had just debuted that theme song that everybody knew and loved, and nobody realer than Gorilla. You know which one I'm talking about. I can maybe play a clip here. Ain't nobody realer than Gorilla. But everybody loved the Gorillas of Destiny. I think now in the WWE, now that they're over in the WWE, I think everybody's kind of getting a little glimpse of what that was. You know, Tama Tonga does those noises that everybody loves, the yeah. And Tonga Loa, man, don't even get me started on Tonga Loa, all the botches and all the memes. But I think it's ran its course, or it's getting to a point where it's ran its course for the tag team championships, because the tag team division needs to be saved desperately. It needs to be saved desperately. And I think the best bet is to put it on the team that you took the belts off of. And so I think the next WWE Tag Team Champions for SmackDown will be DIY. Ladies and gentlemen, this one I think is the hot take of the day, the hot take of the video. The team that I think will end up dethroning DIY is nobody other than the Lucha Bros. That's right, you heard me right. I think the Lucha Bros will be SmackDown Tag Team Champions. The WWE Tag Team Champions. You know what? If I say SmackDown or Raw Tag, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But I think the Lucha Brothers are going to be champions before 2024 ends. And I think they will be on the SmackDown side. Call it a hot take. Call it what you want. But the Lucha Brothers will be holding tag team gold very soon in the WWE. The WWE Women's Championship is currently being held by the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. We saw Nia Jax dethrone Bayley back at SummerSlam after winning the Queen of the Ring and having a dominant showing in the tournament. We're about to find out who her next challenger will be, whether it be Naomi, whether it be Bayley, whether it be both of them in a triple threat match. No matter who it is, I think that Nia Jax will still be champion coming out of Bad Blood. But I think Nia Jax won't be holding that championship too much longer, to be honest with you guys. Because I think the real queen will be coming back soon and taking back what's hers. You know, there's not too many things that go together like Charlotte Flair and WWE championships. She's going and she's coming closer to breaking her father's record of 16. Who would have thought Charlotte Flair would have been to this point? But I think Charlotte will be returning, and rightfully so, sliding herself back into the title scene, and I think she's gonna be the one to take it from Nia Jax. Some may like it, most may hate it, but in the end, we're all gonna have to bow down to the queen because I think she's the next WWE Women's Champion. For all you Charlotte haters, don't worry, I got a good one for you because to be honest, I don't think Charlotte's gonna be holding it for too much time. Because there's a certain thing called the Money in the Bank briefcase, and it's currently being held by a current Miss Tiffany Stratton. And so I think just as quick that Charlotte comes back and beats Nia, even quicker, Tiffany's gonna come out and take it from Charlotte. And so the next two champions for the WWE Women's title will be Charlotte Flair and Miss Money in the Bank, Tiffany Stratton. Up next, we have the WWE Women's World Championship. That's the title that you see over on Raw, currently being held by Liv Morgan. Look, I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet. Who else other than Rhea Ripley? Who else other to dethrone Liv Morgan after all this other than Rhea Ripley? I don't care if it's at Bad Blood, if it's on a random Raw in Omaha, Nebraska. I don't care if it's at a live event in San Juan, Puerto Rico, or I don't care if it's on Saturday night's main event, or I don't even care if it's at the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania if they choose to drag it on that long. No matter who, no matter what, no matter where, Rhea Ripley has to be the next Women's World Champion. And so the harder part of all this was figuring out who dethrones Rhea. Because just as easily as I think Rhea could take it from Liv, Liv could get it right back from Rhea and they could just hot potato it up until WrestleMania. I don't think they'll do that because I think after Rhea wins it, she's going to hold it for a long time just as she was supposed to do before the injury. This might be another hot take, but I think she will end up losing this championship in the main event of WrestleMania 42, whether it be night 1 or night 2. She will lose it to the 2026 Women's Royal Rumble winner, Bianca Belair. I think Bianca and Rhea will finally get that showdown that I want, but I know millions of others want as well. And I think ultimately that's a WrestleMania main event worthy matchup. It has to be. We saw the showdown. When was it? The worst Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania episode of all time when it was in Los Angeles after WrestleMania 39. I was there, unfortunately. But we saw them go face to face kind of in a way, you know. They met each other in the ring for a little showdown. And in that moment in time, being in the live crowd, that I knew it. Down the line, that's $1 million. That's going to be a future WrestleMania main event. And I think we're going to get that at WrestleMania 42 when Bianca Belair dethrones Rhea Ripley for the WWE Women's World Championship. We're down to the main two championships. We got the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and the Undisputed Universal Championship. So let's start it off with Gunther's WWE World Heavyweight Championship. There's a lot of talk whether Gunther's going to have a short reign, a long reign. Who would it be? You know, who's going to be the one to dethrone him? You know, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, a dark horse like a Sheamus, main event Jey Uso, Sami Zayn. Those are a lot of credible names and a lot of good people and good candidates that I think can ultimately be the one to dethrone Gunther. But I don't think nobody's mentioned the right name, or nobody's that I've seen, because there's a certain wrestler out there, certain legend I should say, who's tied for a record. And he's having this little thing called the Farewell Tour in 2025. So I think John Cena deserves, not only should be, but deserves to be the one to dethrone Gunther for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship and ultimately get that 17th and break the record from Ric Flair. They could go about it a lot of ways, you know. I, for one, would love to see a long program between Gunther and John Cena. No, John Cena isn't in the best ring, you know, age. You know, we've seen he hasn't had his best matches. It's fair to say that his best matches are probably behind him. But that doesn't mean we can't still get a legendary John Cena matchup and a legendary John Cena promo and ultimately a legendary John Cena showdown and rivalry one last time. The best person in WWE in my eyes right now is Gunther, the World Heavyweight Championship. And I want to see John Cena break the record. And I want it to be against Gunther. So whether you guys like it or not, I'm sorry, but John Cena will be the next World Heavyweight Champion. Farewell Tour is going to be happening in 2025. And I think John Cena is going to be holding the championship. For how long? Who knows? But I think he will be dropping it. Not only who he may think is the future of this business, who I think is the future of this business, who WWE think is the future of this business, based off how fast they pushed them 6 months out of NXT. Braun Breaker, I believe, will be the one to dethrone John Cena. I'm going to give it a hot take and a little prediction right now. You guys may have heard it before, but you've heard it right here for the first time. Braun Breaker will be the one to send John Cena into retirement. That's right. I think he will do it. And I think he will do so by taking the World Heavyweight Championship away from him. Last, but certainly not least, we have the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. I don't know whether the Universal's still there or not. There's a lot of names to it, but you know which one I'm talking about. The one that Cody holds, the one that everybody wants, the one that Roman made so prestigious with his legendary reign, and then Cody finished the story and took it from him at WrestleMania 40. So who's after Cody? I think Cody deserves a long reign. Who's going to take it from him? Where would it be? Whether it be at a Royal Rumble, Saturday night's main event, where I think we will get Cody versus Roman 3. But I don't think it's going to be Roman. And I don't think it's going to be The Rock. I think Cody gets through all that because that's not his story. The championship is his story. The Bloodline no longer needs that. Their title is Tribal Chief and the Ulafala. That's what they're battling for. They don't need the championship. So I don't think it needs to go back to the Bloodline. Whether it be Solo, Roman, Jacob, or The Rock. Whoever, even Tangaloa for that matter. None of them need to be the next champion. Cody Rhodes, I believe, should lose it to the person who he has the most history with, that we've yet to see him have a match with, or have a, segment where they're gonna lead to a match. Randy Orton needs to be the next WWE Undisputed Champion. Randy Orton as a heel is so much more money than he is as a face. And that's saying a lot, because if you tune in weekly on SmackDown and Randy Orton is on the card, you're gonna hear the crowd sing his song. Even more on premium live events. The people love Randy. But you know what the people love more than a good guy Randy? Is a bad guy Randy. You guys, if you guys are on Twitter, you guys see it all the time. What are those recycled tweets? 2009, Randy Orton was a menace. You guys know which ones I'm talking about. Randy Orton is a legend. Heel Randy Orton is even more of an icon. You got the legend killer when he took out Hulk Hogan, Mick Foley, whichever legend popped up, Randy Orton took him out. And nowadays, we need that same Randy Orton back, because ever since his return, we've gotten good Randy Orton, and his last match with Gunther was excellent, probably his best since his return. But something feels like it's missing from Randy. And ultimately, it's that heel edge that he just carries with him. That the Viper, it's his nickname for good reason, because you never know when he's going to strike. He can strike from out of nowhere, just like the RKO. He's gonna turn his back on you, just like that. And him being with KO, I think is perfect, because we're seeing this path that Cody's going on, where I think ultimately Kevin Owens and Randy Orton are both gonna turn his back for, agreeing to be with Roman Reigns. But Randy Orton is gonna be the next WWE Universal Champion, Undisputed Universal Champion, I should say. Sorry, there's too many names for this championship. But I think he's the next one. There's too much history. They're gonna have a great feud. Randy Orton's gonna take it, and Cody Rhodes is gonna take it right back. Those two are your next WWE Undisputed Champion. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just went through both SmackDown and Raw, all the championships on the main roster, and who we think is the next two champions for each single title. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, or if you guys agree, if you guys disagree. Who do you guys have as the next champions? If you guys made it to this far in the video, please drop this emoji right here. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It'll help out a lot. I love you guys. Peace out.